Hello, Crossroads of Fire here, coming back at you with another video. Please like, comment, subscribe, share. I know it's been a minute since my last upload. I've been insanely busy, but I figured I got a little time tonight. I've had a few days off, so go ahead and upload more. So tonight I wanted to talk to y'all about the witch's devil. Who is the witch's devil? And why this topic? Well, I was tending to the altar tonight, which you can see partially behind me, and it just seemed like a good topic to touch on. Alright, so I know many witchcraft practitioners and Wiccans and so forth are going to say, we don't work with the devil. Um, Obviously, I disagree, right? But also, who is this devil, right? Is it Satan? Not in the Christian sense, no. However, maybe if we look at Jewish mysticism and we see Satan as a force that actually works under the all-encompassing divinity or the all-encompassing existence itself, as a force of friction, which oftentimes actually helps man, then perhaps. But also it could be Lucifer, in the sense of Luciferos, the light bringer, in the sense of the enlightener, the one that teaches gnosis, um, Pan, the green devil of the wild, the woods. Actually, that is one that I have a bit of a close relationship with. Also, who else? Tubal Cain, the uh, blacksmith, the spirit of the forge, who again I'm also connected with. These are all faces, I believe, of this same being, right? The one at the crossroads, the man in black, the one that initiates us into witchcraft, into cunning craft, but I believe that all of these explanations are really because unless you meet him, you don't really know who he is. And even when you do, you never really know who he is. You only know a little bit. So I'm going to show y'all. Let me cover this because this is a mess over here. But hold on. Alright, let me show y'all the altar. This staying right here, and you can't see it, but there's also a railroad spike down in there, as well as this is a wood block that I made myself, and I used some elements like liquor, sulfur, and so forth to consecrate it. However, what was I gonna say? That railroad spike was buried under an oak tree in an abandoned lot for about a year, with some incantations and so forth for Tubal Cain. I came back a year later after doing some spirit flight. Okay, in this spirit flight, I saw myself going there and retrieving the railroad spike along with a stang. So the following day, I went there, and so I called out to the devil in green, the spirit of the forest. If you provide me with the stang and the railroad spike, then I will glorify you, right? So, lo and behold, I pulled up the railroad spike, it was still there, and the stang from that same oak tree was right next to it on the floor, on the ground. So I picked up the stang, I picked up the railroad spike, I thanked him, so forth, came back. I had to cut down the stang. It was much bigger, but it was very gnarled. It had a lot of moss and stuff on it. It just wasn't a good look. So I cut it down and made it miniature. Maybe someday I'll get a big full size one that I can put the spike in and so forth. But in the meantime, I got one for the altar, right? And we could go into a whole video about what is the stang and what does it represent. But it's since been charged, under the full moon and so on and so forth with offerings of liquor. So what is my relationship like with this figure, right? So I'll tell y'all a quick story. Matter of fact, I'll tell y'all 2 quick stories, okay? My mother, for all of her issues, I don't believe this story was her lying. She told me that when she was little, she was home alone with her sisters, right? My grandfather was an officer in the military, so her parents went out to a dinner. Her sisters were watching her. She was up in her room getting ready to go to sleep. It was winter time. She said that the window was closed. There was no wind. Nothing could have got in anyways. The blinds started shaking, violently shaking. She said there was a little red dot like this in the center of the blinds, or behind the blinds in the window. And it got bigger and bigger and bigger until it was a smiling face, like an outline of a smiling face. Of course, she jumped, ran down, got her sister. Her sister came in the room and it stopped, right? Now, this is what I don't know. Maybe this was embellishment on her part. She said that the next morning there was hoof prints in the snow, right? Well, again, I don't know, but I do know that my great grandmother, so her maternal grandmother, used to read tarot cards and have psychic gifts and stuff like this. Anyways, now fast forward to I'm about 10, 11 years old, maybe a little bit older, 12, somewhere around there, in Michigan. And I'm with some friends at a park, and I see a black shadow by the